being introduced as fabulousness. I'll come back daily for that. So this week we will talk about, or I will talk about, Cyrano, which is an MTC production written by Virginia Gay, and The Meeting, which is that Red Stitch. So just the two. There's so much else on in the fringe, but we won't talk about all those. So this Cyrano, written by Virginia Gay, is described as after Edmond Rostand's Cyrano. So if you're thinking about the extremely beautifully written poetic piece by Rostand, it's not that text. It's a completely different piece. It's not an adaptation. It's not even a mashup. It's not an interpretation. It's the story, I suppose. So I think that's taken some people by surprise because the poetry in the original is beautiful. So this Cyrano is just a rollicking good night in the theatre with a really intelligent and a really witty script by Virginia Gay. It's got inventive direction by Sarah Goods and these really quirky and delightful performances by a chorus of three. So the production literally breaks the fourth wall. If you're not clear what that is, I'm sorry if I'm telling everybody what they already know. When the stage, people on stage are behaving as if the audience isn't there, that's the fourth wall at the front of the stage. So this is broken, but it's literally broken because the design has a brick wall that looks like it's been smashed. So you're actually looking into this space where they're performing. And they're talking, or she particularly is talking directly to the audience. Now, this Cyrano is a female character rather than a male. Cyrano, for another sort of if you've been under a rock, you might not know that the Cyrano story is giant nose. He had a giant nose. In this instance, it's a woman, Virginia Gay plays, but we don't see the nose. We don't have nose acting. We don't have a prosthetic, but we're aware somehow. She's sort of in profile often, but eventually the nose becomes irrelevant. It's really a rom-com with this young woman, Roxanne, who in this instance wants to be fully realised, fully developed. So the actors are talking about, it's meta theatre, it's art talking about itself. They're talking about how they're going to do it, how are we going to tell this story, how are we going to do it when she's wants to be fully realised. So it just becomes hilarious stuff about how they create the theatre. And there are some lovely performances from Tully Narkle as Roxanne, Claude Jabour as the himbo, as I call him, the sort of male bimbo, who she wants Cyrano to charm with, or he offers to charm with his poetic words, because Claude Jabour playing Jan can't put a sentence together. He's just gorgeous, Adonis-like, but, dim as a pale light globe. And there's these wonderful mismatched clutch of three unnamed characters who are commenting and enjoying themselves and playing characters and just being goofy. It is charming. It's often hilarious and it's ultimately moving, but it has a completely different ending from the Rostand Cyrano, which is, everyone dies, goes to war, she becomes a nun, he dies in her arms. None of that. Happy ending. It sort of crowbars the fact that it's two women in the romance at the end. It sort of hoiks it into the ending of the story, but you sort of forgive that because it's fun. I'm moving quickly because I know we have short time. So I'm going to talk about The Meeting, which is on at Red Stitch until the 23rd of October. And both really interesting plays. This is completely different. Directed by Tanya Gerstle, who I love. She's a terrific director, and she generally works with physical performance, but this is very word-based. So it's the story of a fictional meeting between Malcolm X and Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King. It's a meeting that never happened. They passed, I think, once for a minute, but this is a secret meeting that Jeff Stetson, the American writer, has created. It was written in 1987. It is still timely because it's essentially these two towering American black rights leaders. It's just 1 week before the assassination of Malcolm X in Manhattan. And 3 years later, Dr. King was also assassinated. So this conversation in this play called The Meeting presages their imminent deaths. So in just 60 minutes, this play presents us with what is two seemingly opposing views of these men on achieving civil rights and human rights and revolution and freedom and how to bring about change for black Americans. It's a compelling argument between these two men, and it's not just an intellectual contest but also a physical contest at times. Christopher Kirby's really wonderfully charismatic as Malcolm X, huge. He's a physically towering, commanding voice and height. He argues for aggressive resistance, and Dushan Phillips is dignified and composed as Dr. King, as he presents his position on non-violence and that quest for freedom and peace between black Americans. It is a taut and compelling performance, production, and every word, every argument, every action brings these two leaders to life on this almost empty stage that reflects the location. It looks like the location where Malcolm X was assassinated. Interesting. So it's a sad but timely reminder that racism and oppression of black communities is still plaguing our world in 2022. Quite different from Cyrano.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Kate. It's really, it's lovely to hear the way you express the shows, and it's I feel like you express it so really well, so that us,
you feel like you're in the room?
You feel like you're in the
Good.
room, and we want to go and see you. Now I haven't seen you for so long, Julie. We have the mellifluous. Not Maleficent, mellifluous. Julie Horton is in the hot seat.
Thank you, Philippa. And I've got to say, I mean, you've got gold with you've got Kate. Honestly, there is not a better reviewer in Melbourne, and you can quote me on that.
And I get to have her every second week.
You're very lucky.
Golly, thanks. This is like praise Kate Day. Happy to be here.
Yes, if you want it in writing for your website, just let us know and we'll do something
And your
about
hair's
it.
glorious.
It's great for radio. You can't see it.
Oh, that's right.
Unfortunately.
Okay, so Julie Horton and Friends.
That's right. I do have some.
You do? Oh, you have many. Is delighted to bring you the story of one of the 20th century's greatest voices, that of contralto Kathleen Ferrier. However, we can't replicate her voice, nor do we intend to try. So in Beloved Katie, they pay homage to Kathleen by bringing her story and her music to life. They hope you enjoy meeting the person behind